So I guess we'll just start right in. Hi, everyone. Sorry. I'm juggling like 1,000 things. I've got text going, everything else, as I'm sure all of you do. It's the new reality of interacting remotely with everyone in the world. So we can jump right in with the approval of the agenda that Steph sent along. Thank you, Steph, again for all of your work on this.
The items.
The late items, those were the two things that I sent.
Yeah.
So do you want me to, those are part of the discussion later on. But just so everyone's aware, I sent in 2 items to Steph, sadly, very last minute, I apologize. One was a bunch of updates on the whole proposal regarding the lock block wall. I'd done a bunch of research with pricing and items and whatnot. We'll go through that a little more in a little more detail as we move along. And also Phil sent along a draft for an open call document that we can also have a look at and discuss as well.
So, move to approve the agenda as amended.
Yes, please.
I will.
Thank you, Greta. Anyone else? Just raise your hand. I'm good. Thank you, Mary Lynn. Adoption of the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody's had a chance to look over those? Yep. Okay. Great job again, Steph. Thank you. Minutes good. Public comments. Have we had anything come through, Steph, or anybody that you've heard might be joining?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. And review of the action items. So,
Can I put them up?
yes, please. So everybody can see. I've got them over here as well. So I can probably start in just on is the first one on your list, Steph, about the undercurrent?
No.
Nope. Oh, we had so Haley. So I've just been texting with Allison. And I had spoken to her basically right after our meeting. Actually, ran into her up at Artisan, so we had a nice discussion about that again. They are very keen. The budget looks okay. I haven't yet had a confirmation about any specific numbers other than to say that they are excited about the proposal and confirmed a desire to be moving forward with it. So if there's any other, if anything else comes through, even while we're talking here, I will open that up. But I don't think there were any major outstanding hurdles. I know that their donor had a couple of questions for me. He hadn't gotten to me yet, but I think Allison is getting in touch with him now. I suspect they're probably just like, questions on timelines and other specifics. I don't anticipate any issue with those. So any questions from anyone about that part?
So no? Ongoing, I think she was going to bring back a number.
She was, yeah, and I have not received one yet.
Okay, I'll just leave it as ongoing.
Yeah.
And then it was research signboard pricing. I guess that's
Indeed. So that was the late agenda item that I just sent
Okay.
over. That Steph forwarded to everybody. I'll
Okay.
just call that up.
done. No, we can do that when we do the lock block wall discussion.
Okay. All right. That's done.
Okay. And number
okay.
3, why don't I just take over? Do you mind?
Please.
Number 3, remind Philip Dion about call for proposals. Done. Number 4, Jillian Drake discussed feasibility of drilling into the lock block wall. Done, Jillian, we can talk about it during the lock block wall discussion.
Sure.
Okay, done. 5, undercurrent editor.
Done.
It's done. Oh my God. November 3rd, ideas for public art to be installed in front of the gallery. We can touch base on that with Jami's discussion of the grant. And Jacqueline Massey. Jami, have you talked about the donor with Jacqueline at all? The donor who was going to donate some art, but then moved off island and it's unclear.
No, there's been no news on that.
Okay, ongoing. And July 23rd, Philip draft proposal template done. Future actions are for the future. Thank you. I hand it back to you, sorry.
No, please. That's good.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
yeah, be succinct. I love it. Just drive it forward. Good.
Okay.
What we need.
So now we're going to do the lock block wall.
We are going to do the lock block wall discussion. Okay, so you've all had, you probably haven't had a chance to review that document in much detail. So I'm going to just quickly go through it. I spoke with Rachel at Public Works Yard, who also spoke with Paul, who is the new director of engineering down there. Public Works has no issues about our proposal regarding the lock block wall. They are in support of it. In fact, Rachel said that they're soon to be hiring summer works students. Always gives them a whole bunch of extra hands. And she said that it wouldn't be an issue to send some of them down there for pressure washing and pruning of all the brambles and cleanup and stuff like that. So they're on board, which is great news. And also that it didn't raise any big red flags about any plans that they had for near future down there. We're not in any conflict with that. So that's also great news. Let's see, materials and supplies. So I am going with the suggestion to use the MDO signboard. The more I think about it, the better it sounds to me. I think there's a whole ton of advantages. There's a little bit of a higher upfront cost than just painting directly on the wall, but there's a whole bunch of advantages to going with the route of working on the signboard. We've discussed the fact that artists can take the boards away into the studio and work, which is always better. Quality is higher, and time and efficiency and all that sort of thing much better. And also the longevity. So painting anything on, bless you, was that a sneeze? Painting anything directly onto what I would call a heavily compromised surface means that whatever goes up there will not last very long. And the signboards, if they're prepped properly, could last a very long time. So again, really, we're not wasting money and effort to see something start deteriorating within a year down there. So now the sheet stock is only available in 4x10 size, not 5x10 like I had thought. Overall, it doesn't really change a whole lot. The 10-foot size works very nicely along the whole length. It lines up with the blocks quite well. We get 2-layer good one side sheet. I managed to find a really good price on the sheets. $75 is half of what anyone else was coming back to me with. So that's a wholesale price. I'm getting that through my contact through my brother who owns a mill workshop. So we would be getting a
Awesome.
good deal on that. Some rough I don't know. I'm throwing numbers out. Primer paint, we would have to prime both sides of the boards to keep them from warping and for longevity. Paints, rollers, brushes, that sort of thing. For the artists, whatever we decide to do down there. And then the last thing is the fasteners. So we had talked about putting in, they call them expanding sleeve anchors. They're very common. There's nothing particularly special about them, but they are really great fasteners to work with. And so those could be easily inserted. They already use this kind of thing down there. I think I sent a pic to somebody about Jillian, I think it was you. Yeah, the signs any signs that are currently installed, and there are a couple down there already, are using this kind of fastener. The only difference I've suggested, we don't necessarily need to go all the way with this, but I'm a big fan of stainless steel in an outdoor environment by the ocean. It solves a lot of problems down the road. So it's a bit more expensive, but it makes things way easier going forward. So that's why, I mean, I hope no one's shocked about the price tag on stainless steel fasteners, but I think the cost savings will be borne out later. And they also look great. So they're more finished appearance, and they can have acorn nut caps so that they're not just zip cut rough off and left. They can also be removed. So the idea would be to set up templates for the drilling all the way along, and then we could apply with spacers all the boards once they were completed all the way along the wall without too much trouble. It should go fairly quickly. And also in future, these things could be removed and either fixed and put back or replaced or whatever we decided down the road. So that would be something.
But do you drill through the board?
Yes.
You drill through the board. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, yes, I noted it here. So 20 sheets is what we would need for the mural. And I've added 2 extra sheets that we would use as boring templates. So we properly drill those exact, and then those get placed up where they need to go. That gives us our drill bore holes. We attach one, and then we do the next one so that it lines up very nicely, and we just keep swapping them out all the way along. And what that means is that every board from then on will fit exactly where it goes. It's not just a random application.
Got it.
So that's it for that's all I have to say about the lock block wall part. I think I've covered everything. Jillian, yeah.
Yeah, just to confirm, these fasteners are then used repeatedly for subsequent installations.
Yeah, so the fasteners, there's the stud fastener part that gets hammered into the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's, you have to tighten them. You tighten them in temporarily so that they lock, and then they're just left there, and the boards would sit on top. Now it does mean that there are studs sticking out if there are no boards, but those studs they don't stick out very far, and they would be capped with an acorn nut is a nut that has a rounded end on it. So you're not, no one is going to get snagged by it if they're going by, kind of thing. So yeah, the fasteners themselves are always there, but they can be worked with so that they're not a hazard for anybody going by.
No, I'm just confirming because sorry, Greta.
No, go ahead. Finish.
That was one of the questions when I brought it up at a manager's meeting, was just confirming that it's a one-time drilling, and then we reuse those multiple times. So
yes, yeah.
And
if down the road they want them all off, it's very easy to just cut them all down and patch them over. It's not a big deal at all.
did we talk about having a duplicate set of boards. Was that something that I recall where?
Yeah, I
like,
think I
left
mentioned
off
that, which is entirely possible. But because they aren't cheap, even at a wholesale discount, those are expensive boards.
Yeah.
It's worth it for sure, but at the same time, we probably don't want to incur that kind of expense additionally for this stage, because we'll have a couple years after that at least to build up some reserves if we do decide we want backup duplicate boards for another project to if we got another project going in the meantime, that there's a moment where one project comes down, another one's going up right in its place, we could do it, but I don't think we need to do that right now.
Okay, that basically that was my same question. So the current wall will take the 20 sheets.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
because then I wondered what we would do when it was going to get changed. I don't want to see a blank wall left there.
Mm-hmm.
And because if we had to take those sheets and get them reprimed for another set of artists, it would leave the wall blank. So that's why I wondered about having the duplicate set, but you're right, we can postpone purchase of that for a couple of years.
We could indeed. And the other, yes, I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Scott.
Yes.
Is it the whole length of the whole wall that you're measuring?
Well, when I went down there to take those measurements, the basic usable length between the end up near the library portion and where the municipality has already got some signage for directions and that sort of thing, the effective length on that is about 212 feet. So 20 sheets gives us 200 feet, which with a little bit of buffer on either end fits really nicely.
So you're saying right from the library side, right to the ferry side.
Correct.
All that whole area.
Yeah.
Is spoken for. Great. Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, like, let's not forget, like, if boards can go up and they can be blank as well as there could be spaces in between. So let's say a mural goes up, maybe we, if for instance, we had 3 artists involved, we could do a string of boards for an artist and then have a blank one, white, and then have another bunch of boards for another artist and then a blank spacer and that sort of thing. And we can buffer it on either end. There's lots of, I think the thing with the boards is it gives us a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And will the concrete be painted a uniform color, or are we going to just leave it rough?
Behind it? Yeah. I mean, ideally I'd like to see it painted uniformly and cleaned up behind the boards. But again, that's not something that needs to be like perfect because the boards will be covering a substantial amount of that square footage.
Can you remind me, Scott, how tall is that wall? Did you measure the height?
Oh, I did. Where did I put those notes?
And thank you for all the work you've done on this.
Oh no, my pleasure. It was a nice day when I went out there, so it was all right. Yeah. So the blocks they're 30 inches high each, and there's 3 row. Well, it changes because of different variations, but there's basically 3 stacks of block. So that's about 90 inches. So 7.5 feet high. So about 6 or 8 inches down from the top, and then 4 feet would be the viewing portion. And the exposed lock block underneath, I wasn't worried so much about because it's already being visually cut off by the what do you call those? The concrete
Barrier.
The barriers. Yeah, thank you. So if you are standing back from the street and looking at it, you would be seeing a little bit of space below the board, then the board, and a little space above the board. So the visual line is all mural, essentially. Yeah.
Is it too much to ask that the concrete be prepped at least?
No, not at all.
paint job?
I totally think either that's something I can continue discussions with Rachel at the works yard. That's a task that they can throw on. It could also be an opportunity of some volunteer work from the community to help. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult. A couple of paint trays and couple of thick rollers, and away you go. You'd cover that in an afternoon, you know.
And how
Good
long does
initiative.
that last though? Because like if it's not applied with the right paint and everything, then you're gonna get, like on the lower part in particular, you're gonna get like paint peeling off and stuff eventually. And if you've got this beautiful mural and then paint peeling off, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, admittedly, I mean, the thing, we just restored a railing down at the seawall in Vancouver, and the contractor I was working with had found this incredible paint. It acts like an old school kind of alkyd paint for exterior purposes, but it's in fact, an environmentally sensitive, water-based, low VOC paint. That technology has improved a ton in the last even 5 years. So I don't have any concerns that, if we were to prep paint the block wall behind that, it would immediately start looking terrible. I believe that we can get product out there that would do the trick.
So I'm just wondering though, after it's pressure washed, it wouldn't be so tacky looking, that maybe we don't need to do that. Is the pressure washer presumably is going to clean it all up, so it's.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it'll get rid of the grime, it'll get rid of the dirt, it'll get rid of the, the stuff leaking through the cracks and things like that. But the paint that's on there has been there a long time, and
it won't take that off?
some of it may come. It depends on how. Listen, whatever comes off with the pressure washing is good, because it would have compromised the finish subsequent anyway. So whatever comes off will be great. Anything that stays on there is on there, and so I would be fine, I think, to recoat.
I just wondered if it was an expense that we didn't need to incur, that's all.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess, we all want to be conscious of the money we're putting out. But at the same time, this is going to be our first foray and our first introduction to the public about what we're doing. And I think it would be whatever we do in a good way would make sense to me. And
Okay.
yeah.
I would strongly recommend that we make a request independent of our budget to get the wall painted.
Do you think that would?
It might fly. And
Okay.
if it doesn't fly, it ends up being something that council can say no to and leave the rest of this project intact. So there is no harm in asking. What would be helpful though would be to get a sense of what it would cost, the material costs and an estimate for the amount of labor that would be needed.
For just prep painting the entire block wall. Okay. I would be happy to.
It might be something that Rachel could.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, for sure.
And we have been talking about painting that damn block wall for at least the last 6 years. So,
Right.
and probably beyond that. So I don't think it's unreasonable to bring that cost to the forefront.
I don't think so. I hope not. Yeah. Is that an action item that we can throw on, Steph and Maureen?
Just,
Would that be a conversation?
Sorry?
I'm typing out a recommendation that council directs staff to clean and paint the ugly wall.
Do we get to pick the color though? Do we get to pick the color?
What do we want?
No pukey brown.
Yeah, brown.
Builder's beige, they call it. Covers everything.
I don't know, something dark, like a dark gray or something.
I think a gray would be suitable.
I wouldn't distract council by giving them a recommendation that has a color in it. We'll get into a debate at the council table about whether it should be green or purple or beige or whatever. No, just get the money and then later.
I like it.
So I said council directs staff to clean and paint the lock block wall supported by funding from the public works budget.
Good.
I will supported by.
Yeah, actually go with that. It'll get shot down, but it'll get worked through. No, the public works budget thing, because the immediate question will be how much from the public works budget. And if we can find that out before the recommendation gets to council, then you know, I can
Quick staff comments. We'll go 2 bullet
Yeah, that would work.
link.
I think
Okay.
it's also good initiation for those young summer staff kids coming on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
See if they can pass the
And
test.
it makes excitement of what's going on over there. What's going to happen?
We can do before and after shots. This is what Bowen looked like before. Here I am. Look at this.
See if they're covered in paint when they're done.
You want to get people moving that stuff?
Yeah, let's move on from that. Where are we, Steph? I've lost
You want
track.
to move and second and vote on this?
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
Maureen's
Maureen's
moving
up.
it.
Maureen is up for number 1. Anyone else?
I'll second.
Okay, here we go.
All in favor?
Unanimous.
Did you want to review the Phil's open call?
Want to go through that? Okay.
I'll put it up.
So
So Steph, can you put that up on the screen? I didn't have a chance to print it
Yeah,
out.
I'll put it up. It's just my computer's a little slow. It's a little
Oh, okay, thanks.
stuff.
So this open call doc gets us started. It kind of hits the obvious points. I feel like there are a number of details that are missing, points of clarification that I think we need to be really conscious of. So
Do you want to slide them in now?
what's that?
We can do them now.
I think, from a time perspective, I wonder, and anyone jump in and say otherwise, but I've got a couple documents. I've got access to a couple of documents that are about calls that we've done elsewhere. That I think if I was to drag some of the language out of that and insert into this document, that it would strengthen it quite a bit. And I apologize that I didn't have time to do that before this meeting, but I'm happy to discuss anything that's in there right now. We can certainly add thoughts and ideas. But if everybody's okay with maybe me just having a go over with it and sending it back out.
Well, we haven't said how, like, is one person going to do this, or could it be more than one person? We haven't told anybody what the space would be.
We haven't, and that's true. We haven't really gotten into those details yet.
But we can't send a call out without some of that information.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. my hope is that I think the project, the scope of the project is really big for one artist to take on. So I would strongly recommend that we make this call, and with the idea of selecting maybe, at least 3 artists to be working on it. Obviously, we want some input from Allison and Sangre de Fruta.
Phil's here.
Oh, no kidding. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
He's just entering.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Sorry I'm late.
Well,
Thanks
your
for coming.
timing is great, actually. We were just talking about your open call document here.
I hope I hit all the right buttons there.
Yeah, no, you've nailed the overall points for sure. I was thinking that there's a few things that we would probably need to add in there as discussions go forward, and as we get more clarity from Sangre de Fruta and their donor and what's going to be possible. Obviously the budget's going to tell us how we can move forward on it, right?
So I'll just add,
Sorry, go ahead, Steph.
I'll just add those notes, 3 artists, you're saying?
That would be my recommendation. I just think the scope's too big for one person to take on with a limited
Just
amount
a
of.
thought. I think there was some concept of like doing seasonal.
Yep.
So we might want 4.
Absolutely, yeah. 4 is a good number too. I mean, I think three would be, to me, 3 would be a minimum. 4 would be great. Yeah. If it was the seasonal thing is kind of cool. It's obvious. It makes sense. I think it would give enough variation between the works. Highlight different artist skills in that regard for sure. Yeah. Did you have any other, Phil, do you want to weigh in on this at all? Do you have any explanations or additions that you might be thinking, or any comments?
I just wanted to keep it tight so we didn't get overwhelmed with information, because I know artists can, in the aid of making their point, will want to just keep going and going because that's what they've spent their life doing and they want everybody to know it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just wanted to keep it tight for our sanity, and also having someone who can keep an application tight and concise also means probably that they're organized and thoughtful. So I thought that would be helpful.
Definitely.
And then because I had missed the last meeting, there was details about this project I didn't know. So I just kind of guessed in here about things. I mean, do we want to name that it's for the lock block wall, or?
I think that would be good. Yeah.
Well, everybody knows what we're talking about when we say the lock block wall.
They
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, as this moves forward, we're going to have a title for the call to identify it. So all of those details can still be worked on. The submissions are great. It's good to, as Phil says, make it very clear what we're expecting to receive from artists. We would want to explain that the image we would be looking for. See this, there's 2, depending on how things play out. And I noted this in my other document about the lock block wall notes, is that in an ideal situation, we would want to see a bunch of open call submissions, basically just artists filling out, giving us their name and contact information, a little brief description about their practice, and a bunch of examples of previous work. doesn't have to be murals. It's just like, what are you working on? What does your work look like? That sort of thing. And from all those submissions that the jury would convene and shortlist that down to a shortlisted group of artists. And then at that stage, we could ask that they produce or explain something about their intended proposal for what they would want to see up there, what they would want to do up there. So that would be a two-stage thing. I think that process, although it takes a little bit more time, is quicker in the end. It weeds out a lot of stuff, and we're really just all of us reviewing the cream of the crop kind of thing, rather than wading through what could be quite a number of submissions. So we can break up the requirements for the submissions based on, is it the first stage of full open call, or is it the second stage directed specifically at shortlisted artists? Does that make sense to everybody?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Jillian.
go ahead, Jane. That's okay.
I have a few questions, sorry. One of them is, once we get to the second stage, would there be honorariums assigned to those few artists that that make it to the top list for them to propose?
Yeah, well, that's up for debate. It depends on how much we're asking. So if we're asking the artist to create a maquette, some kind of work specific to the call, to the project, because at that point it would become then the project. If we were asking them to do something specific to that project, then probably a small honorarium for their time and investment in proving to us or showing us what their idea is makes sense. But if we're not, if we are able to make a decision based on just the evidence of their past work, we may not need to ask them for anything else. And then we don't need to pay an honorarium for that stage. We would just pay them the artist fee for the work completed.
Okay, so just stepping back then, would we give them some direction on theme, some type of theme, so that if it's 4 seasons, you know, they're not all over the place? And then the medium and how they have to protect the board.
Yeah,
that they need to be prepared for that.
definitely.
And then I do feel that artists should have some sort of honorarium if they've made it to the final stage.
Sure. I would agree with you. Maybe for sure. We've got a reverb of
Yeah, I've noticed that.
where that's coming from.
Everybody turn off. And
Yeah.
then come back. When you want.
So I had a question, wondering why we wouldn't ask an artist for their idea for this space in the beginning. Why would we wait till a second round to ask them how they envision using the space for their work?
Well, I think every call needs parameters to work within, and we're not telling an artist you must paint leaves on your board or whatever. I think the call would be open enough for interpretation that an artist's expression will come through, but we're not leaving it so completely wide open that that we aren't able to maintain any cohesion between all the artists we're working with. There have to be some parameters, but I think there's a lot of latitude still available.
No, I would just think if for example, if I was an artist thinking of this space and wanting to submit a proposal, yes, you'd be showing your artwork, but then you'd be also saying, and this is how I envision that I would be creating something for that space. But I've never been an artist responding to an open call. So just asking.
The list that Phillips provided says that there should be an image or a video of the proposed work. Is that second phase or first phase? Maybe that's just a question for now. I did. Sorry.
Sorry, I must have been muted. That's probably a detail that would need to be dealt with further on in the process. I don't know that we can I don't know that we can get that sort of decision made in a meeting today.
Well, your suggestion had been, Scott, that you go away and sort of turn over some ideas. So maybe we could just give you some of the things that are top of mind without diving into them. So I've got a short list. One is that I think somewhere in the initial call is we need to actually say what we're looking for, which is an outdoor mural. We've talked about public artwork. I think getting specific would be important. I'm a little leery about putting project budget at the top amount directly in here. I think what we should indicate is the money that's available to the artists. So there would be an honorarium and there would be an artist fee.
That's a very good point. Absolutely.
I think we need to include a line that says we have the right to refuse all submissions. So we don't have to, as a result of this call, offer the project. Probably needs to say what the timeline, estimated timeline would be. So, for example, if an artist was going to be away from May to August and we wanted the work done in July and August, we should know that up front. Otherwise, it's going to be another year later. The question of whether it's Bowen only artists. Do you have to be a resident of the island in order to submit? And then finally, can kids submit? Because that came up with the last competition that we ran. We had a 10-year-old who submitted a design for a crosswalk that people liked. So that was my list for consideration.
Those are all great points, Maureen. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, Steph, for getting all those in so quickly. Easy. Okay.
And I just wanted to make sure that we put in the original call something about the space, because people need to know we're not doing little 8x8 paintings here. We're doing big sheets.
Yes, also very important.
Can I ask, it sounds like we've decided it's going on boards.
Yes.
Is that a consensus here? Okay, cool. Have we talked about other materials that might be more weather resistant?
Well, these boards are weather resistant, actually, Phil. They're MDO sign board, which are fabricated specifically for outdoor environments exactly like this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments regarding the open call draft?
I have a question. What if somebody asks us to do the option of doing something like a reproduction of a painting that they've already done, and we blow it up and produce it on the boards?
Reproduction, like take something they've already painted at one point or created at some point and then turn it into a painting for the board?
Well, or it not being an actual painting. It's something that's printed and mounted. I know this is completely different from what we're talking about, but I'm thinking that those boards actually lend themselves to that method of producing as well, rather than just
They
paint.
certainly do. Phil might be able to speak to the costs for outputting on adhesive vinyl at a scale like that. I think it might be a little much for the scope of this, but Phil, any comments on that?
Sorry, was needed. It does really depend on the size, and that stuff can only be outputted in specific dimensions. So there'll be seams, which means then people can pick at them, especially if they're walking by. So I don't think the printed vinyl is terribly expensive, but it's because the block wall is kind of person height, it will sustain damage from people's elbows and bags. I think we may want something more resilient than just printed vinyl.
Good points. Yeah, for sure.
I would opt for original art.
I think whatever we're deciding, it should all, if we're doing painting, everybody should be doing painting on the boards, not a mix of media there for again cohesiveness in the idea being brought forward. Yeah, it's a good point though, Jillian. I think there are. I mean, using the boards does open up other potential materials to be used on there for sure. Yeah.
Do we supply the paint?
Well, sorry. Oh, I am talking. Okay. Do we supply the paint to the artists?
Yeah.
Well, every artist, maybe likes to use their own choice of materials or particular paints or whatever. My thinking would be that, we would offer along with an artist fee, we can either include it within the artist fee or in addition to a materials fee. So that gives them some discretion to say, okay, I want like the best of the best. And as in my own practice, when I'm doing, proposing things for like, let's say similar situations, I know that oftentimes I dip into my own funds when I am really enthusiastic about a project and I just want to see it the way it is. And the materials fee is a great help, but it may only be a starting point. So it helps us to keep our budget within a set amount, but also allow the artist to decide what they'd like to use and how much they want to spend on the materials as well. So maybe
my thought is just with durability and finish. Like if one artist uses a certain kind of paint and another artist uses a different kind of paint and one is less durable than the other, like will we have like a final ceiling or something on all of the paintings? Or I don't know if we've thought about that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could note specific requirements for the durability of the material. Like it must all be outdoor rated paint for sure. Things like that we can do. And there is also an option. I don't know that. I mean, we could think about it, applying a top clear coat across the whole thing. It might also help just protect for the kinds of things that Phil is talking about, buckles and bags scraping along. A top coat could help.
That's exactly what made me think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Steph, thank you. How are we for time? Can I ask if there's any last comments about this section? I think we should probably move on from here to the next bits.
I just wanted to talk about budget overall with this project, because I think I'd like us to decide which way we're looking at it. Are we looking at it as an A, this is the budget that this project will cost, and Sangre de Fruta may contribute X towards that? Or are we looking at it, as I've sort of heard a little bit, Sangre de Fruta will be able to provide X, and therefore that becomes the budget for the project. I just want to make sure we're all clear on how we're moving forward with this.
Yeah, that would be something, that would be a decision we'd have to make as a committee. I think what's going to happen is what we need to do is, first of all, get a concrete number from Sangre de Fruta to know what we're working with on that end. And then based on that and our discussions now, if we're all committed to this idea of using the boards and we figure out some costs through Maureen about having the wall cleaned and painted beforehand and all that sort of thing. Once we fix the budget a little better and answer questions about how the call plays out and where the honorariums would fit in, what our budget is that way, we'll be able to make a better decision. I think probably, given that this is the first cleanup effort, improvement effort on the lock block wall, I would be okay. I don't know. All of you need to weigh in on this as well. Is if we incur some additional expenses up front that aren't necessarily part of the call, but allow us to actually do it. I think that's within our purview. And if some of those funds come from our general budget for art, I think that would be reasonable. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I just thought it'd be something that for us to discuss to make sure we're all approaching it from the same perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we need a few more numbers before we can say with any certainty what would be the route to go. Yeah.
So Scott, when you had your discussion the other day, did they give any indication of when they might come up with this number? It's just, we're already into March.
Absolutely.
And I'm concerned about the length of time it's going to get, the length of time until we get a call out. Then we have to have the response. Then we have to have the jurying, and we want this done in the summer months when the weather's halfway decent. So I'm just curious as to if they gave any indication of when they might have a number for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually thought that I was going to receive that already. So I think it can be any time. I might even hear back from Allison this afternoon. So, but even without that information just yet, I mean, just the time that we're going to need right now to clarify the language of the open call, we don't have to delay that. That's work we can do right now. It's gonna, if we end up for some unknown reason not using it for this particular call, we are going to use it down the road. It's development, language development, document development that we are going to have to do at a certain point for other things. So we can still run that process. So I don't anticipate whatever extra time we're going to need right now to get a fixed number out of Sangre de Fruta, that it's going to hold us up any more than we are right now.
For practical reasons, it may make sense to just assume that we're getting nothing from Sangre de Fruta and proceed on that basis.
Possibly, yeah. I've had no indication that they're not interested.
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
that they will, but just from the purposes of advancing the project, we know we want to do this project.
Yep.
Do have money. We would be in much better situation if they were to donate as they were prepared to, that would be great. But if they were, for whatever reason, unable to donate to this project, I think we're still in a position to be able to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think once the budget is a little more clarified, regardless of whether that money is actually being donated and coming into us, I think we'll definitely have a clearer understanding of what's at stake and whether we agree to go forward with spending that money. Yeah. Okay, I want to just, that's been a great discussion. I think lots of great points. I want to just move this one on to the next thing. Steph, can you just guide us to,
Sure, you're like my silent cheerleading. You guys are doing great. That's going to be the public art inventory.
Okay.
So going through that to make sure. I believe that was prompted by some confusion about who owns what.
Right.
So the review, I'm not sure what your bandwidth is to get into this thoroughly right now.
Yeah, you know what, I'm not, why don't we table that document? If we have time at the end, we can have a quick look at it. I don't know that, is anyone feeling like this is something pressing for today? No? Okay. Is that okay, Steph? Can we just
Yep, absolutely.
table it for now?
Mm-hmm. And so then it's Jami. Would you like me to put the proposal up, Jami?
Oh, I think everyone probably had a chance to see it. It's a good, and anyway, sorry. So yes, we've been successful in receiving this, the BC Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program grant to finish up the landscaping and some development, I guess, around the Cove Commons. The project is called the Snug Cove Cultural Corner, which we're super excited about, mostly on the Hearth's behalf. The plans to build a permanent covered stage just outside the front doors of the Hearth, I think will be a great draw for our little patio area to bring all kinds of entertainment and plein air demonstrations and book reading and all kinds of things. So it'll be I think an active little corner. As for an art project, it would be nice to see if we could do something that maybe would be a permanent art piece out front, in front of the Hearth Gallery. I think that was always a plan, at least when I talked to Jackie about it, that there was a dream to have a permanent art piece outside. What that looks like, I don't know. We were able to secure a little bit of money in that grant to perhaps build something or have an artist build something that would live outside. But what that looks like, I don't know. Actually, Pauline LaBelle the other day sent me an email. She was super excited about the project and suggested that maybe one of the posts on the stage be maybe a carving, First Nations carving. So it becomes part of the stage. I think that sounds like a really great idea. Make it part of a permanent structure. But other than that, I don't have any ideas and I don't have any artists in mind of what we'd like to do. But we're successful. So Tina and I are meeting tomorrow to start talking about hiring a project manager to get things rolling along so that we can get this done ASAP would be the plan.
It's great news. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Very exciting. Any questions? Comments, ideas?
I have one little idea that Jamie, I know showed you before, but I don't know if other people know what a garden kaleidoscope is. I don't know if anybody's
right.
seen any one of these. Could I just show you a picture of them? Because this would be a really cool spot for one of those. So I'll just show you quickly if you don't mind. So there's a few different versions of them. Are you seeing this,
Oh,
the sketch
yeah.
or the images? So it's basically a planter that you would use, probably annuals, colorful changing things, and you have kaleidoscopes mounted around them. So you get to view them from this, or you can use microscopes as well.
Mhm.
So there's different versions of it that you can see there with kids. But it's sort of fun, simple, like different degrees of complexity you can get into, obviously, with them. But
That's a nice interactive work for sure. Yeah.
anyway, just I thought most people probably hadn't seen one of those, but they're pretty fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. New to me. That's for sure. Neat.
Yeah, they have some of them in Whistler on the walk by the big Maurice Young Millennium Place, where they have the kaleidoscope things, binoculars or whatever you call them. And I think it's great. I think interactive art is a lot of fun. Yeah. So anyway,
What do they
you'll
look
start
like?
seeing some action.
What do they look like in the winter, Jillian?
You can choose winter flowering things in there. You could have pansies throughout the winter. Maybe there's hellebores. There's various things you could have in there to make sure it's engaging year round. Or interesting foliage that has color, texture, patterns.
Or fake.
No,
just
no
kidding.
fake
I'm just kidding. Snowflakes.
I'm just thinking about connecting it to the loft block wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Jamie,
Out of myself. Yeah.
do you have a design that's been approved and is going forward?
No, nothing. Nothing. It's a wide open canvas at this point.
So are you going to make a call for architects?
I don't know yet. We haven't, Tina and I will discuss that in the next couple of days to see how we want to go about that.
That's interesting, because sure, I mean, do it however you want. I'm just now going into my head and thinking, if you have an open call for an architect and an artist, we could at an early stage put these two people together to make something that's more integrated rather than a stage and an object off to the side. Or something that's like, oh, this is your post, this is where you do your art, and carve here, and everything else the architect has done. So anyway, that's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Philip. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions or comments on that from anybody? We're okay. Are we moving? So Steph, are we moving on to new business then?
I think we are done. Like, that's a little placeholder in case something
Okay.
happens.
Just in case something came up. I don't have anything more to share with anybody. Anyone else have anything?
I've got the work plan just linked into info items. People keep their eye on.
Fantastic. Well, let's, maybe I should just, I know we're already over the 2 o'clock limit. I can just briefly tell you that I had a very good conversation with Bronwyn at the Undercurrent, explaining what is going on with us and introducing our committee. She's very excited. I wanted to tie all of that in with a big announcement, both with who we are, what we do, all that sort of thing, but also hopefully with this project along the lock block wall. So anyway, I've just primed her. She's, anytime we've got something, she's on board. She's very excited. We can figure out in future how we want to, what we're going to say, how we're going to promote it, the writing, all that sort of thing. So just wanted to say that it was a very good conversation. So I was quite excited about that. Next meeting, how does that look for everyone? Do you want to do the doodle poll thing again, Steph? Is that the best way to go?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. And I think,
Actually, I did provide Tuesday, March 13th at 1 PM as an idea.
you did. That's why I was seeing that here. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. I think, the last time we were meeting, I think we all agreed on the date in the meeting, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if we could repeat that kind of brilliance. Might save us some time. So I'm actually just going to plug in quickly to my calendar and see.
That's next week.
Oh, yes, that doesn't work. April.
Okay.
Oh, good. We know what you meant.
Let's take a look at April to be sure.
So that would be a Tuesday. So essentially like another repeat today.
Yeah.
I myself am open, so I can do it.
The 13th.
Works for me.
I'm installing an art show that day, but you don't need me.
Well, we wouldn't say that.
Okay, well, I'll doodle then for a day that works for
Perfect.
the leader of the art of the island.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry,
we need to be
Jami.
there.
You're essential.
You're very important.
Oh, stop. Oh,
Just
stop. More.
Okay, we'll deal with next meeting. We'll figure that out. And are we okay with just leaving the, sorry, Mary Lynn, I know you were on board for the artwork inventory list, but are we okay with just pushing that ahead?
That could be an
Yeah.
action item, because I think the idea was just to make sure it's up to date. So people can do a lot of that at home. Maybe
That's true. That's true. If
or
everybody
do
wants to
research,
take
spot
a
gaps.
put that as an action item for the whole committee. And have we got a list of, have we got the other action items? So I know what I need to do. I'm still going to clarify things with Sangre de Fruta and review the call based on all these great suggestions you all had. Thank you very much. So I'll get another document out, another draft for that before our next meeting. You guys can all have a chance to review that. Are there any other action items standing or new to add to anybody's task list?
Well, they're in here somewhere.
Yeah, I know. And I apologize. You do such a great
You
job
guys
of
just-
organizing, but
No, I think you guys, it's mostly you. Everyone else knows what they're doing. I can send a reminder.
okay.
Texting with Jackie right now about the follow-up for her on that.
Excellent. Okay. I'll let you carry on with that, Steph, and send it over. That would be great. So I'm just going to move to adjourn, I think. No? Okay, all good.
That's
Everyone.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all again. Invaluable committee diligence. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.